Hello and welcome to Ask the Expert. I'm Ted Craig, Editor-in-Chief of Restoration and Remediation Magazine. Joining me today is Charlie Horn, President of Paul Davis of Louisville. The firm was started by his father in 1980, and he took over as president earlier this year. Is that right, Charlie?
Yeah. Hey, Ted. Thank you for joining me or letting me join you. I took over. I took over as president in 2017, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I started back in the early 2000s. Worked a lot of different roles and a lot of different divisions, and took over in 2017.
Okay, great. And what we're talking about today is that an experience that you had where you wound up on the client end of
Yeah.
restoration. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we sure did. Like I said, I've been in the industry a long time. 2001, I joined Paul Davis Louisville, but really before that, I grew up in the business, working summer jobs and winter breaks and things like that. I have a really good grasp of what it is we do, and I have a really good grasp of what our fundamentals are and what our foundation is. And earlier this year in 2022, January 16th, to be more specific, normal Saturday afternoon, my wife decided we were going to go to dinner with some friends or at some friends' home, and she wanted to make some homemade wontons. And so I thought, that's a great idea. Let's make some homemade wontons and make a dip, and we'll take them over there. And so I started heating up oil to fry these wontons. And just like we've seen a 1,000 times, and maybe we see hundreds of times a year, it was the grease got too hot, it ignited, and I was in another area. My first response is I knew exactly what the fire department was coming to do. They were going to soak that place down with water or foam and start ripping cabinets down, and which they do in order to save lives and to protect property. And so my first reaction was, I got to get this pan outside somehow. My reaction was, I just got to grab it. And so I took off with the pan in my hand, and the flames rolling over the pan got my hand pretty good, took a pretty bad beating. And normal kitchen fire. Luckily, no one was, except for me, no one was injured. The dogs, the cats, kids, my wife, everybody is okay. But we were on the receiving end of a claim, and I'd never been through that process. And as I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about today, it certainly puts our business into perspective and really changed the way that we operate dramatically.
Yeah. I could speak as somebody who also has been on the receiving end of a claim. We had water damage in my house a few years ago. The initial disaster is fairly traumatic, and I'm sure that was the same way for you.
Yeah, well, it was very traumatic. Yeah, put aside, my injury, leaving in an ambulance and leaving your family home, standing in the yard with, the kids came in and said, okay, let's say bye to dad. My kids are a little bit older, 16, 13, and 11. So they kind of understood what was going on. Beside the injury, the whole experience was very traumatic for us. And we still deal, although our home is repaired, my hand is repaired, had some grafting done back in January, we still deal with the result or the after effects of the fire. And, whether it be down to even our dogs, if the smoke alarm chirps because the batteries are going low, or if we do leave something in the oven a little bit too long and we smoke up the kitchen a little bit, smoke alarms go off. My daughter has some issues with that. And, we're still, it was very traumatic. We're still dealing with it, but it's a healing process. It's a rebuilding. And on the business side, we're certainly still working on the result of that. We're still working through some changes internally within our business.
I assume you had to stay overnight at the hospital?
Well, I did not. So I got there. They took me, and I think because of what my Paul Davis vehicle was parked in the driveway, of course, when the fire department showed up. And
they were quick, huh?
Yeah. So they got there, and because of we have an emergency recovery coordinator that does a very good job of building relationships within the community. commercial clients, one of which is the fire department that happens to serve the area that that we live in. So when they showed up, they knew who I was, they knew what I did. And, they had me in the front yard working on my hand, and they put me in the ambulance. My blood pressure was way up, and probably because of the pain, probably because of just what we were going through. And I think they initially decided that they thought I was going to try and not go. And I said, no, just let me walk through. I just need to see what's going on. I just need to see our next move. And I remember the firefighter said, look, we know what you do. You know what you're doing. Your company's going to be there to take care of us. You just need to go. So they took me downtown to U of L, which is the trauma center. I didn't have to spend the night there. This happened at about 6 p.m. or so. I got out about, 10:30 or 11. And then the grafting was actually done a week later. But there's some funny stories in there going down to U of L, because when I left, I didn't have my wallet, my phone, anything. They just took me and rushed me away. My blood pressure was 220 over 170 when they first got there. So and it slowly started coming down, but they just took me. I didn't have my phone, didn't have any way to communicate with my wife, or didn't have my insurance card, didn't have anything. So when I got out and they discharged me, this is downtown Louisville at about 10:30 or 11 in the trauma center. And I had no way to contact my wife. I knew she was down there somewhere, probably with 3 kids and 2 big dogs in the truck trying to find me. And it took a few minutes, but we finally connected. So luckily I didn't have to stay overnight. And when I had grafting done, I didn't have to stay. That was outpatient too. So that was it.
So what was it like when you came home that evening and saw the damage?
Yeah. It was emotional. It still is emotional. We when you walk in, the house is the house, and the kitchen is the kitchen, and the appliances and the cabinets. But Ted, I was sitting in the ER that night, and I remember just thinking about all of our stuff, all of our contents. Not my stuff. My stuff is normal work clothes and things like that. But the kids stuff. My son plays drums. My kids drums. My wife's all of her things, and that's what you really start to think about is your home. And it's not just a house; it's your home, and it's everything that is in our home is really a reflection of who we are as people and as a family, and where we've been and where we're going, and whether it's faith or school or education. And I still get emotional thinking about it when you ask that question, because it was difficult. It was hard. Although the damage wasn't severe, we've certainly seen much, much worse, and it could have been so much worse. The fire department here in Louisville, they did a phenomenal job. Maybe it was because they knew who I was. I'd like to think that they do that on every claim, and I'm sure that they do. But they just did a phenomenal job, and I couldn't be more proud of living in that division. But yeah, it was very difficult. So we came home. It was late, 10:30 or 11. Luckily, I guess at that point, all the pharmacies were closed. So we didn't have a 24-hour pharmacy, or the pharmacy that I thought was 24 hours actually wasn't. So where I told them to send my pain medicine at the ER wasn't open. So I didn't have, I wasn't on any pain medication. So I was still dealing with some pain, but yeah, walking through, it was, the power was still on. So we could turn the lights on, we could see what was going on. But it was hard. It was difficult. And, having the kids go in and get clothes for the next couple of days and having to wash them that night, it was very difficult. And as you know, while we're here, it's certainly put our entire business, my entire career, and really the future of our business in a different light and in a different perspective. So yeah, although it was very difficult, it was a defining moment, I guess.
People talk about sometimes when doctors get sick and they have to go through to the hospital, it changes their perspective on their work.
Yeah.
As a restorer, it sounds like you had a similar kind of experience changing your thought process. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I did. Driving away in the ambulance is the first time that it hit me. I thought, I've spent my entire career very focused on marketing, sales, volume, getting claims, turning claims over, turning them around, putting them, moving people back in. But it was, I think that for so long, we were so job focused, meaning it was a project. It was a burnt home, or it was a flooded basement like yourself, or, it was a tree on a house, and I know just in the Louisville office, I think that we lost sight of the human aspect, or the human element, and who's there. Although we provide extraordinary care to people, and we've obviously done a very, very good job we've been very successful. We've been in business for 43 years, and we've served the community very well, and we're very pleased and very lucky to be able to enjoy that. But that moment, I immediately shifted focus and said, there are things that we're missing, and we're missing the human element, and what happens after the fire, not just to the home. I mean, we do care for people, like I said, but now we're going to rebuild this home, and we're going to rebuild this property and this kitchen, or we're going to put that basement back together. But how do we rebuild? How do we assist or be a part of that property owner rebuilding their own lives? Yeah, the house is one thing, but that emotional trauma that you go through after a fire or a water claim is still there. And so how do we have a responsibility, and that's what I thought. We have a responsibility to take a property owner through an experience that they have never been through, and hopefully will never go through again. We have a responsibility to take them through that process with as much care as possible. And although obviously, we've enjoyed, like I said, we've done it for 43 years, there's another element that we were missing, and it's that human compassion, empathy side. At least for me personally. So we're on a completely different path. I think that in our Louisville office, we've hired just a great team of people that are coordinators, that project coordinators or production coordinators, that their sole purpose is to remain within a project as the customer liaison between a sales team and a project management team and a carrier and a mortgage company, or whatever it may be. And they're constantly calling, and they're constantly pinging information off of that property. What do you need? How are you today? And we haven't had that. And this team of coordinators is just doing a phenomenal job of caring and really empathizing with the property owner that has been through that claim. It's really fun to watch.
How do you find those people?
Well, the first one that we hired, obviously, that within our industry, hiring and building the team right now is one of our biggest struggles. Outside of pricing and material costs and fuel and those kinds of things, is finding the right people. And our corporate office, PDRI, back in December, put together a campaign. And it's really comes down to, it's got a great brand recognition side, but it has a recruiting side too. And we want to recruit A players. And so our goal is to find the A players. And how do we find those? Well, and what are those A players? What does it mean to be an A player? And within our organization, within Paul Davis Louisville and PDRI, Paul Davis Network, we're looking for difference makers. And that's our slogan is be a difference maker. So every morning we try and wake up and how are we going to make a difference in someone's life, whether it be a property owner or a coworker, because that's really what we do. We come in and we make a difference. And our team came into our property and they made a difference in our life, and they continue to do that. But going back to your original question, the Paul Davis, we started a billboard campaign. And there's locations that are running radio ads, TV ads. We've done both. We've done a lot of different things, from a B2C perspective on trying to create brand awareness. But this billboard campaign came out and I thought, man, this is really awesome. They've got, and I'm sure you guys have seen them around. We're running a campaign here in Louisville. There's 7 or 8 of them and they rotate. Some are digital, some are static. But my first coordinator that I hired out of the gates, she happened to be at a concert downtown. She has a background in addiction recovery. So she's certainly got a servant's heart. And her contract ran out in her prior employer. And she looked up and at the waterfront, there's a nice billboard, Paul Davis, become a difference maker or be a difference maker. And she thought, that sounds like something I want to do.
Right.
And to be honest with you, she didn't know what we do. She thought that we were another addiction recovery or another rehab facility. And she thought, well, that may be my next move and I can make a difference in someone's life. So she went to Culture Index. She went to our website, found the Culture Index survey, completed it. And the next day I said, wow, she's a game changer. She's an A player. So I called her and that person came directly from the billboard, and she's awesome. She's just so good. And she really, really does a fantastic job of caring and showing that empathetic side to the property owner and leading them through a process. But the others have just come from really our traditional recruiting methods haven't worked. I haven't seen a lot of success this year or last year. So what's worked really for me, and I know this is just Louisville, but it's just word of mouth. It's just talking to people. Hey, who do I know? Who do I know that's an A player? And who do I know that knows A players? And just going out and recruiting in person, really. That's where we've gotten some of ours. My latest hire, I've known him for a couple of years. I knew he was in the military. He retired. He's 43 years old, retired from the military after 20 years. And I said, you've served, you've spent your entire career serving on that end. Now come over here and serve with us. And it took me about 3 months to get him, but we got him and he started in July. So it really, outside of the billboards and that side, I just do a lot of talking. I can talk someone's ear off about what we do. And who do I know that are A players? And they probably know another A player.
So it sounds like the biggest change you've made is putting, when it comes to serving the people who are experienced the damage, is to increase communication.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's the bottom line. So, better than yesterday is an internal slogan that we have here. And what a coordinator's role within our office is we have a hub and spoke model with all of our projects. And so at the hub of that project is a coordinator. And that coordinator is like I said, pinging information off of a salesperson or an estimator, a project manager, a field service tech, and the homeowner all together via email, phone call, text, constant communicator. And they're there when an estimator or a project manager can't take a phone call because for whatever reason they're in another claim, or maybe a project manager's on a roof or something like that. The property owner has a coordinator's email address, their cell phone, the office line. If they have a need, they're just, hey, coordinator, I need this. And the coordinator says, hey, I know that they're on a project and I'll get to them. And her emails and the coordinators, I'm thinking of the one specifically, they're not always taken, by an estimator or someone in the field. They don't always take them the right way because they're saying, I need you to call this person before end of business. So that's constant communication, and whether it's good or bad, we need to know. I can't let a property owner go dark. I can't let them go in the dark, and we can't go in the dark either. If there's something that we need to know, and it's all designed really to lead this project down the road to a perfect 10 and deliver on an exceptional experience, and to leave their property, turn their property owner, not only their home, but their personal life better than when we found them. And that's her main goal, and the project or the coordinator's main goal. So we've hired 5 or 6 new people directly to speak to those needs. And that's an area that we're investing in. And I recognize that it's vital.
Now, how long did it take to get your own home back to, restored?
Faster than I think faster than I thought. I have a team here of about 45 employees. Some of them were in the field, some of them were office staff, but our team really stepped up and they delivered when somebody needed help. It just so happened that it was me on the other end. They really stepped up and I think fast tracked it a little bit. And it took about 3 months to get, because we had to totally redo our kitchen appliances. That was one of the things that took so long because materials are scarce right now. Well, appliances are even worse.
Right.
So we had just gotten these appliances. We waited almost a year for our appliances, and we had just gotten, for instance, the range, and then this happened. So we had to wait another 3 or 4 months. But all in all, about 3 months and 90 days before we were able, luckily, we were able to get back in and continue living there after about 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then, some minor interruptions, but we were ready to get back home. And it didn't take too long.
But the kitchen is so vital to a home in terms of it function. So
yeah, I mean, our family, we have a large family. It's a family of 5. We have 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a cat. And we really try to eat at home as much as we can. For one, it's much, much cheaper. We really enjoy the time that we spend together, and that's spent in the kitchen. We don't have a lot of other areas to entertain. So yeah, you're right. It certainly threw us off not being able to have that, but we were back in there fairly quickly.
That's the important part. So it's been a few months now, and do you think you'll be able to keep this momentum going with the change? You're the processes in place now.
Yeah, I do. I believe in what we're doing. I'm one of our serving basics, our 10 serving basics at Paul Davis is practice continuous improvement. Mm-hmm. And that's where our slogan, better than yesterday, comes in. And I've got a lead team put together that knows my vision and who believes in my vision and is delivering on it. So yeah, I 100% know that this I don't even call it a change. It's really a shift. It's a pivot. It's really a 180. Like I said, we've always cared for people. Obviously, we've served the community for a long time, but it's just a mindset of who's on the other end of that phone. It's not a job, it's a person. So yeah, we've adopted that, and we're not looking back.
What would you tell other restorers that you like to share with them from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I know in our industry we talk a lot about empathy, and that can be very difficult as restorers sometimes. Because we do see so many claims, and we see so many different projects, and like you mentioned, the doctor side of it. It's very difficult sometimes to remember that that's a person, or that's a wife, or that's a husband, or those are the kids' toys. But my suggestion is, and it's easy for me to say, put yourself in their shoes, and that's what that's really what we're talking about is empathy. But think past the job and think past the project and the margins and what you need to order early, windows or cabinets, and quite frankly, just stop and be aware of what they're going through, be aware of not what's going on outside the job. Now that's a fine line, because there's a lot of stuff that we all bring to the table that we don't always know, but just be aware of what's going on, be aware of what they're going through, what their family needs. And it's not just their home put back together. Yes, obviously that's what we're here to do. But what else do they need? They've never gone through it. I was lucky because I know the insurance claim process, and I know what an adjuster is, and I know, what my insurance company is, and I know, a lot of things that some people call in don't know. And take time to listen and be patient. I think that's the most important part, and that can be difficult in today's society, because it just seems like everyone's so impatient, including myself sometimes. I call it the Amazon effect. I can order paper towels today from Amazon and sometimes have them on the doorstep before I get home.
Right.
And and that bleeds into our industry and a lot of different industries. And so we have to listen, and we have to be patient, and we have to set the proper expectations up front, and constant communication. And in our office, at least, it's a coordinator saying, hey, our goal is to deliver a 10-star experience for you. And if there's ever a time when either I or Paul Davis or your project manager or this person or that person is not delivering, I need a phone call. I need a text, because I can get it back on the right track. It's going to happen. I mean, we're dealing in an industry with homes and properties and things that we're in an imperfect environment, that everything doesn't go right and everything doesn't go the way that we plan it for the morning. But just being patient and listening, and that communication side, and setting the expectation of things, we like to think that they're going to go perfect, but chances are they're probably not, and it's okay. But I'm here to listen, and I'm here to take that information and to fix it.
So my last question would be, have you made wontons since then?
No. Yeah, I mean, no, we still we cook, and we enjoy the kitchen, and but no. It's funny, Ted, you asked that, because we now have 2 air fryers.
Great.
So no, we haven't used hot oil since then. I'm sure we will, but it's funny because when we were buying those air fryers, we were walking through Walmart, and the aisle that has the air fryers also has the deep fryers. And this was just maybe like 2 weeks after I had grafting surgery done. And it was a little scary. It's kind of like walking through the snake part of the zoo. I hate snakes. So it was, yeah, but we do have 2 air fryers, and we use them all the time.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing better, and that everything is back up and operating at your home. And it sounds like your company is, that you've just benefited from the experience.
Yeah.
So in the end, it sounds like it was a positive.
We certainly have. Yeah, it was, although I don't,
You don't recommend burning your hand like that.
No,
but
I wouldn't recommend it. But from a business perspective, it certainly changed my mindset, and it brought me back to center, and much more in tune with what our business needs and what our property owners need.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Charlie. And thanks for taking time to speak with us.